complete works of Swami Vivekananda. In that inspired talks we are seeing, we shall continue. It is recorded by Miss S. E. Waldo, a disciple of Swami Vivekananda. This is an inspired talk of Swami Vivekananda on Thursday, July 18, 1895. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. The lesson today was mainly Shankara's argument against the conclusion of the Sankhya philosophy. The Sankhyas say that consciousness is a compound, and beyond that, the last analysis gives us the Purusha, witness, but that there are many Purushas, each of us is one. Advaita, on the contrary, affirms that Purushas can be only one. That Purusha cannot be conscious, unconscious, or have any qualification, for either these qualities would bind or they would eventually cease. So, the one must be without any qualities, even knowledge, and it cannot be the cause of the universe or of anything. In the beginning, existence only, one without a second, says the Vedas. The presence of sattva with knowledge does not prove that sattva is the cause of knowledge. On the contrary, sattva calls out what was already existing in man. As the fire heats an iron ball placed near it by arousing the heat latent in it, not by entering into the ball. Shankara says knowledge is not a bondage because it is the nature of God. The world ever is, whether manifested or unmanifested, so an eternal object exists. Jnana, bala, kriya, knowledge, power, activity is God. Nor does he need form, because the finite only needs form to interpose as an obstruction to catch and hold infinite knowledge. But God really needs no such help. There is no moving soul, there is only one Atman. Jiva, individual soul, is the conscious ruler of this body, in whom the five life principles come into unity, and yet that very Jiva is the Atman, because all is Atman. What you think about it is your delusion. What you think about it is your delusion and not in the Jiva. You are God, and whatever else you may think is wrong, you must worship the self in Krishna, not Krishna as Krishna. Only by worshipping the self can freedom be won. Even personal God is but the self objectified. Intense search after my own reality is bhakti, says Shankara. Intense search after my own reality is bhakti. All the means we take to reach God are true. It is only like trying to find the pole star by locating it through the stars that are around it. The Bhagavad Gita is the best authority on Vedanta because it contains all yogas in that. Sankhya, Raja Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Sannyasa Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, everything. So these are all different paths towards the same realization. Next, Friday, July 19, 1895. So long as I say you, I have the right to speak of God protecting us. When I see another, I must take all the consequences and put in the third, the ideal, which stands between us. That is the apex of the triangle. The vapor becomes snow, then water, then Ganga. But when it is vapor, there is no Ganga. And when it is water, we think of no vapor in it. The idea of creation or change is inseparably connected with will. So long as we perceive this world in motion, we have to conceive will behind it. Physics proves the utter delusion of the senses. Nothing really is as ever see, hear, feel, smell, taste it. Certain vibrations producing certain results affect our senses. We know only relative truth. Theory of relativity, Albert Einstein also says. The Sanskrit word for truth is isness, sat. From our present standpoint, this world appears to us as will and consciousness. Personal God is as much an entity for himself as we are for ourselves, and no more. God can also be seen as a form, just as we are seen. As men, we must have a God. As God, we need one none. This is why Sri Ramakrishna constantly saw the Divine Mother ever present with him, more real than any other thing around him. But in Samadhi, all went but the self. Personal God comes nearer and nearer until he melts away. And there is no more personal God and no more I. All is merged in self. Consciousness is a bondage. The argument from design claims that intelligence precedes form. But if intelligence is the cause of anything, it itself is, in its turn, an effect. It is Maya. God creates us, and we create God. A tapasvi, a rishi create God. And this is Maya. The circle is unbroken. Mind creates body, and body creates mind. See, without mind's intention, body cannot create another body. And without a body, there is no mind, no existence of mind. So, mind creates body and body creates mind. The egg brings the chicken, the egg. The tree, the seed, the tree. The world is neither entirely differentiated nor yet entirely homogeneous. Man is free and must rise above both sides. Both are right in their place, but to teach truth, easiness, we must transcend all that we now know of existence. Will, consciousness, doing, going, knowing. There is no real individuality of the jiva, separate soul. Eventually, it as a compound will go to pieces because jiva is nothing but a complex or a compound of pancha pranas, panchendriya, pancha jnanendriyas, pancha karmendriyas, antakarana chatushtaya, and panchabhutas. So this is not a single one jiva, it is a complex or compound of so many things. So this compound is generated once upon a time, and one day it will disperse also. It will go into pieces and will merge into the pieces will merge into their origin. So only that which is beyond further analysis is simple, and that alone is truth. That is elemental. Freedom, immortality, bliss. All struggles for the preservation of this elusive individuality are really vices, papa, sins. All struggles to lose this individuality are virtues, punyas. Everything in the universe is trying to break down this individuality either consciously or unconsciously because everybody wants to achieve something more than his what he is having now. So that means he wants him to get expanded throughout the creation. That means he is not the individual himself, he is beyond the body, mind, etc. So everybody, knowingly or unknowingly, want to break down their individuality. All morality is based upon the destruction of separateness or false individuality because it is the cause of all sin. So, unity is to be achieved. Everybody in this creation tries for that. Morality, that's knowingly or unknowingly. Morality exists first. Later, religion codifies it. Customs come first, and then mythology follows to explain them. While things are happening, they come by a higher law than reasoning. That arises later in the attempt to understand them. Reasoning arises later in the attempt to understand what has happened, why it has happened. Reasoning is not the motive power, it is chewing the cud afterwards. Reason is the historian of the actions of the human beings. Buddha was a great Vedantist, for Buddhism was really only an offshoot of Vedanta. And Shankara is often called a hidden Buddhist. Buddha made the analysis, Shankara made the synthesis out of it. Very nice. Buddha made the analysis, Shankara made the synthesis out of it. Buddha never bowed down to anything, neither Veda, nor caste, nor priest, nor custom. He fearlessly reasoned so far as reason could take him. Such a fearless search for truth and such love for every living thing the world has never seen. Buddha was the Washington of the religious world. He conquered a throne only to give it to the world, as Washington did to the American people. He sought nothing for himself. So, next Saturday, July 20th, 1895, we shall see in the next session. Hare Ram. Sadguru Charanarpitamastu. Swami Vivekananda Arpitamastu. Swami Ramakrishna Arpitamastu. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa Arpitamastu. Sharada Devi Charanarvinda Arpitamastu. Sarve Jana Sukhino Bhavantu. Lokah Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Sajjana Santu Nirbhayaः. Om Tat Sat. Shri Krishna Arpitamastu.